Welcome to the Without the Bank podcast, where you and I are going to talk about all things IBC, the business of banking, utilizing money correctly, and how it will help you grow your business and your wealth. I hope you are all well, and thank you for being here. Also, if you would mind leaving a review, if you wouldn't mind, that would be great. I would love to have a review. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, but 5 stars is always pretty awesome if you feel that I'm worth it. Okay, today we are going to talk about my little chapter called The Wall Street Scam and my thoughts on what's happening with Wall Street. First, let's start with that is not traditional investing. I always find it very funny when people say, this infinite banking concept isn't traditional. Well, let's define the word traditional. Means forever, right? That's what we've done forever. And this is not what that's what it means to me anyway. I have not looked in the dictionary, but that is not been done forever. If we really look at what's been happening in the market, 401ks, IRAs, Roths, none of those things started until 1974. That is 46 years, 47 years. That is not traditional. Life insurance has been around 200 years, and pensions used to be put into annuities, which are a life insurance product. So when we talk about what's traditional, we need to really look at how long have things been around and have they been time tested? If I look back at 40 years and think about, okay, we've got 60-year-olds that most likely started investing in their 20s or 30s. Those 60-year-olds are really the first group that have used this IRA and this investment system of today. They're the ones that have used it. And how is that working out for them? Well, not very well. We are seeing them go back to work. We are seeing them postpone retirement because it's not a system that works. It's not tried and true. It's failing at every corner. It's leaving them with tax problems at retirement. That's what I see with all of my clients. That's what I'm seeing with older people. If they have a pension that lasts, that pension that's a rarity. It's been managed correctly. Most pensions are falling apart. And if you really want some good pension information, look up Barry James Dyke. And he's got he's got several books, but Pirates of Manhattan and Pirates of Manhattan 2, great books to show us what's really happening in the market. We have huge corporations that are selling stock and rebuying it to prop up the market. We also have huge corporations that are taking their pensions out of the 401ks, out of the market, and putting it right back into an annuity where it used to be because that's guaranteed. They can now guarantee their employees' retirement. So this traditional investing is not traditional. You will not hear me say that unless I am not paying attention to what I'm talking about. Because let's go another 100 years and see how that all works out for everybody. Whole life insurance has been around 200 years. Tried and true. It gets paid out. So when we really look at, so many people want to compare the infinite banking concept to investments. Let's break this down for a sec. And you guys have heard me talk about this in other podcasts, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. But it's a concept. It's not an investment. The tool is the life insurance policy. So if we're going to look at tools that can be used and compare tools, we really need to look at 3 things: liquidity, control, and guarantees. And when we want to put our money into an IRA, into a Roth, into a 401k, into real estate, I don't care what it is. You're either going to give up liquidity, you're going to give up control, or you're going to give up guarantees. In the policy, it offers us all three of those things. I actually had a client that his brother-in-law, I believe it's his brother-in-law, is a financial advisor. And I said, "Oh no, what did he say about what you're doing?" And he said, "Well, that's not a great place for a good rate of return." And he said, "It's not about the rate of return. It's about liquidity, control, and guarantees." And his brother-in-law said, "Oh, if that's what you're looking for, it's the perfect tool." And so that is a common answer from a financial advisor, right? Because they're just looking at rates of return. But I want liquidity of my money today so I can start a business, so I can invest in real estate, so I can lend money to other people, so I can send kids to college, so I can go on vacation, so I can give to charities. It doesn't matter. It's infinite of all the things I can do with my money today. And then if I'm an honest banker and I pay it all back, guess what? I have it to use for retirement, income tax free. This whole time, my money has been growing because I borrowed against it. If you are looking for an answer on, why do we use infinite banking? Go to my last podcast that is titled The Power of Uninterrupted Compound Interest. I think that's the title. I talk about the power of what is happening to our dollar when we don't interrupt it, and what happens to our dollar when we do interrupt it. Everybody says, the market's a great place to be because you have compound interest. You have interrupted compound interest. That is a big deal. They also talk about your rates of return in the market. The rate of return in the policy is terrible. Well, if you know anything about infinite banking, it's not about a rate of return. But let's just talk about rates of return, right? In my book and in my chapter, The Wall Street Scam, on page 27, I go over rates of return. And you will see that we start with $1,000 and we end with $1,000 over 40 years. So we've put $1,000 in, and if the market drops 50%, we're down to $500, right? But then next year, the market came back and we made 100%. Woohoo, good for us. We are back up to $1,000. But then the market dropped again the following year, and we're down to $500 again. And then the market gained another 100%, so we're back up to $1,000. At the end of 4 years, we have $1,000. What did we actually earn? We started with 1,000, we ended with 1,000. We didn't earn anything, zero. But our financial advisor would tell us that our average rate of return is 25%. Because we lost 50, we gained 100. We lost 50, we gained 100. Look at us. We're so lucky. Our average is 25%. Our financial advisor is amazing. He is making us money. No, he's not. He's managing it. He's managing not to lose it. It's about what's happening. And right now, very few people are making money in the market. Very few people, period, make money in the market because they give it to somebody. That somebody blindly manages it and says, I'm making you an average of. Well, I don't really give two craps about what your average of is. What is your actual rate of return? What did you actually make me over the last 10, 15, 20 years? And I have many clients who have money in the market and they're not contributing anymore. Once they stop contributing, they can really see what is the market doing for them. Well, it's not doing anything. Most of them, their money hasn't changed in 15 years. Well, if their money hasn't changed in 15 years, what's actually happening? If we add money to our 401k or IRA, we can't look at that as a return. That's money we added. That's not money the market made us. So when we're contributing, if we lose money because the market crashes, and in the 08-09 crash, a lot of people didn't even break even again until probably 2018, 2019. I was seeing people come to me and say, oh, now my money's back to where it was in 2008, right? And then just in time for a 2020 crash. But why? Because they weren't contributing. They stopped contributing. And people say, well, that's the biggest mistake you can make. Is it? What if those same people that stopped contributing use that money to start a business? What if they use that money to lend to other people? What if they use that money to buy real estate? The problem is that most people will stop contributing and then spend it on junk and have nothing to show for it. Well, I guess really if you look at it and you lose it, you didn't have anything to show for it either, right? So when we're talking about liquidity of money, if we're putting money in a 401k, if we're putting money in an IRA, we can't access that money till we're 59 and a half. In a 401k, you can borrow against it, but they control your payback terms. So it might be semi-liquid, and semi meaning some of it can be borrowed, not all of it. So it might be semi-liquid, but you lose control, right? And you don't have any of these guarantees. If you put it in a Roth IRA, it's going to grow income tax-free. People are like, oh, Mary Jo, I can do that. That's the same as what's happening inside the life insurance policy. It's growing income tax-free. It sure is. But if you've put it in, you have a penalty to get access to the growth before 59 and a half. If that Roth IRA is over 5 years old, my understanding is you can take out what you put in, okay, without penalty. But now you interrupted the growth of that money. So again, not acting like a life insurance policy, the Roth is at risk. We have it in the market. This is the same thing if we're going to talk about universal life, variable life, indexed life insurance policies. We're subject to market performance. A universal life might have a guarantee, but it's still subject to market performance. It's still not sold correctly 99% of the time. I've only seen, in 11 years, I've seen one policy, one universal life policy that was good. You guys, I have seen a ton of them, and only one of them that's good. The likelihood of having a good one? Not very likely. I have a client whose dad passed away a couple months ago. I believe it was a couple months ago. And they had a universal life policy on them. When they got the in-force illustration, that is an updated illustration on your policy that will show you what's going to happen. It said that that policy was going to actually fall apart when dad was 76. Well, dad died at 79, and the life insurance agent came to them and said, you're really fortunate, because at 80, his policy would have collapsed. And I said, no, the life insurance agent was very fortunate because he didn't tell you what was happening in that policy. So on the guaranteed side of that in-force, it said 76. It went to 79, but on the non-guaranteed side, which is how they sold it, it went to 109 or 110. Made it nowhere near how it was sold. So not only are we wrapping our retirement up into the market, we're wrapping our life insurance up into the market. Why? For something that's new and not proven. For something that's an average. What about an actual? What happens if the market crashes? What do we need to make up the difference? Not including what we put in. And I go over that as well on page 29. If the market takes a 33% hit, we need 50% to make that up. So in March of 2020, when the market crashed, everybody lost about 30% that I talked to. Well, they needed a 50% return to make that back. Oh, but we did, because we propped the market up, right? Do we really want those ups and downs? What if we would have never lost that 30%? And we didn't have to come back from the bottom to get back there to then gain. Interrupting money is a huge deal. I also go over on page 41. If we have $1 million at retirement, what happens to that money if we look at the average rate of return versus plugging in the numbers of the actual rates of return for those years? Well, guess what? If we put the average in, it looks great. It looks like we'll have money forever to retire on. But when we put in the actual numbers, we run out of money in 20 years. Well, if you're planning to retire for 30, how is that going to work? I know that I have a lot of listeners that do not like the government. Those are just the kinds of people that are attracted to the infinite banking concept. They don't want the control. They want the government out of their way so that they're not being overtaxed and all this other good stuff. Well, guess what? Most of those very same people that do not want government control have their money in the market. Guess what? The government is controlling you. They get to decide when you get to take it out without penalty. They get to decide at 72 that you need to take it out even if you didn't need it. They are manipulating the market. Well, the banks are manipulating the market, but who's manipulating the banks, right? I mean, it's all tied together. Why are we letting the government make our decisions and make our rules? I have clients that have retired at 55 and 60. Well, guess what? If I'm going to retire at 55, I can't access that money without penalty. If I would have put that in a life insurance policy, there's no rules. I can access that money whenever I want. If we don't want the government to control us, then why are we doing business with the government? It's no different right now than what they're talking about with estate taxes. That, we're going to get rid of the step-up basis. People are upset about that. Well, if we get rid of the step-up basis, that's just the government changing an exception to a rule that they made earlier. Now they're just going to change it back. If we're going to do business with them, they make the rules. They can do whatever they want. And guess what? We're stuck. Why do we want to use the infinite banking concept? Because it's a concept. It's a thought process around money. We want liquidity, control, and guarantees. We want some tax advantages. These are all super, super important things. And yes, in my opinion, the market is a scam. It's a scam. We're led to believe it's going to make us rich and that we're going to be able to retire. You know what, my friends? The infinite banking concept is going to create some guaranteed wealth, but it's only going to create as much wealth as you add to it. It's not the end all. You need to do other things that are going to create cash flow. But with that cash flow, we want to make sure that we are protected. The 401ks and IRAs are not going to create enough wealth for you to retire. I have a few clients who are managing those themselves and making a pretty good rate of return. The average person that's just sticking their money there is not making that rate of return. Something for you to think about. Let me know if you have comments, questions, concerns. If you have not gotten the book Life Without the Bank, please go and do that. If you have Life Without the Bank and you've not gotten Nelson's Becoming Your Own Banker, do that. Or get them both if it's your first time. They are valuable reads to help you understand why this concept is so important and why using an agent that can help you understand it is important as well. You can't just go buy a life insurance policy and expect to get all your answers. It's not going to happen that way if the agent doesn't understand the concept. I am happy to help. If you have read Life Without the Bank, please give me a call. Schedule your hour-and-a-half consultation. It's free. We'll figure out what you got going on. If it is meant for you to have a policy, great. If not, alrighty then, not for you. No sweat off anybody's back. But I am telling you, I've done this for 11 years. I have hundreds and hundreds of clients, and they have all gone through the exact same process. I am not going to sell you anything. It is about you learning how to be the banker. All right, folks, that's all I got. If you want to share this, if you want to leave a review, whatever, I'm happy for that. I'm happy. Let me know if you need me. Otherwise, go to withoutthebank.com, grab the book, and hopefully we'll talk soon. You have a fantastic week.